Horror, the council called it. Unmitigated cruelty and perversion. Tobak stifled a laugh, though his disdain for what the council thought was writ on his face. It was only when the ambassador for the Krivil, an avian race newly assigned a council seat, had said, "We will stop this practice, by force if necessary," did Tobak's face harden. "Do not dare to threaten us, carrion eater." Tobak snarled in response to the threat. "None here in the council, you least of all, have the military might to uphold that threat." Tobak spun on his heel, staring all the ambassadors in the face as he continued, "And whom among you no longer feed? Which of you no longer eat meat? Here he pointed at the Krivilian. You, at least, I know still eat your favorite invertebrates alive. So do not think to condescend to us on our eating habits." The Krivil ambassador jumped to his feet in rage. "Our food is not sentient. What you do is unacceptable." Tobak could not hold back a barking laugh this time. "Sentient? I would say the humans barely meet that criteria." "But they do meet it," the Krivil snapped, pointing at Tobak, "and just because they do not travel the stars, this does not give you the right to steal their hatchlings. To consume their flesh while they still live. You are a monster." Tobak's lips drew back from his fangs in a snarl. "Never before has our race tasted flesh so sweet. The children they breed are so tender. So tasty that words fail to describe, and their fear. As you rip the flesh from them, their fear bastes the meat in ways you cannot imagine." Here, a trail of drool fell from Tobak's canine jaws and HT the floor. His eyes had rolled back in his head at the mere memory of his last feast, a small curly-haired female of 8 summers. Oh, how she screamed as he gnawed morsel after morsel from her bones. Seeming to realize he was still before the council, he snapped out of his daydream. "Anyway," he continued gruffly, "we will not stop, we will not allow others to stop us here." He paused for effect, "and we will destroy any who attempt to hinder us in any way." Tobak began to leave the assembly, dramatically looking back at the Krivilian as he strode for the exit, when a soft voice stopped him. "Tobak, please grace us with your presence a few moments more. You may need to hear this." Tobak's hackles rose. Of all the council, the tree people of Mid-RV were the worst. Always with the peace will find a way, and no one is truly alone garbage they spewed. It was enough to make him willing to gnaw his own leg off to get away from them. But, as she was the council's leader, Tobak knew his diplomatic duty and stopped his egress, and turned to face the council once again. "This matter is already, as we speak, rectifying itself," she said sweetly, her voice like droplets in a pond. "We decided to help the humans navigate the stars, and hope to assign them a seat on this very council." The council erupted in chaos. Never before had any race of sentients been helped to leave their world. It was unheard of. Tobak snarled in fury, "By what right? We were not made aware of the council voting on this matter. Our voice had a right to be heard." Other council members also added to the chorus. No one, it seemed, was aware of this. The Midarian held up her hand for silence, and as soon as she got it she continued. "The council did not vote on this matter, because we were afraid the council may not act on it," she said softly. "This action was taken by my people, and my people only. We contacted the humans of planet Earth, and informed them of what was happening to their young." Tobak's jaws dropped open in stunned silence. It appears they were well aware that their children were being taken, but they did not know by whom or why. She continued, "When we showed them the pictograph videos of Ambassador Tobak's race, and their eating habits." Here her soft voice trailed off. "It appears," she said, even softer than before, so that council members had to increase the volume at their podiums, "humans form a very deep bond with their young. Deeper than even my race does." Here she stood to her full 8 foot of height, and pointed her thin, nimble finger at Tobak like a damnation. "And you, Tobak, you and your race flaunted your perversion, your pompous air of superiority in front of us. HFY." Her voice needed no artificial increase to be heard now. She was furious, and no one on the council had ever seen or even heard of a Midarian losing their temper, much less one raging at a fellow council member like she was doing now. If you dared to kill younglings of sentient species, that would be abhorrible enough, but to strip their flesh from their living, screaming bodies. Do you think we of all people would allow this? Did you? She roared, her voice like thunder in the enclosed room. She sat back down, glaring at Tobak. We gave the humans the technology we have. All of it, she said, trying to regain her composure. But that would not be fast enough for what the humans asked of us. So we gave them 3 shuttles, each big enough to hold 100 humans. Tobak stood as stone. He was unsure just what was happening. The Medarian managed to give Tobak a shaky smile. Do you want to know what the humans did with the pictograph videos? They dispersed them across their entire world. Every human I saw what you and your people did. Their military asked for volunteers for a suicide mission, as they called it. They asked for 300 soldiers. In less than 2 minutes they had over 8,000 volunteers. Here she stopped and let that sink in a bit. 2 minutes, 8,000 volunteers. I heard many more tried, but they stopped accepting volunteers after 2 minutes. Tobak snarled. Do you think this makes any difference? We will take that human world and turn it into our own personal larder. In response, the Medarian just gave a soft laugh. Oh Tobak, she said, shaking her head softly, you will do no such thing. The humans are under our protection. Not that they need it, it seems. Do you know what is transpiring on your homeworld as we speak? Tobak's tail began to droop. What exactly was going on here? Smiling, the Medarian activated the view screen. The 300 human volunteer soldiers landed on your homeworld over an hour ago. We tried to stop them. To beg them not to throw away their lives, but they were insistent on sending a message to your people. Her eyes drifted up to the view screen above her, which was broadcasting the news from Tobak's home world. Consider the message sent. Tobak stared at the screen. Videos of the large bipedal human warriors cycling their weapons, laying low anything that dared to cross their vision. What froze his blood is that the humans had somehow been able to incapacitate his people. He saw one of his warriors running to engage a human, who simply blew in a short metal rod that was in his mouth, and Tobak watched as his warrior dropped his weapon, slammed his claws into his ears, and fell to his knees. The human simply walked up to it, still blowing in that strange device, kicked him over and stomped on his head until the twitching stopped. What is this? Tobak said, stunned. He whirled on the Medarian, roaring, "This is your doing." In reply, she simply took a small metal rod from the folds of her robe. This is a souvenir from Earth. I don't think you will like it, it is called a dog whistle. And saying that, she put the tube to her lips, and blew.